We've got the brand new Mercedes-Benz E-Class sedan.
We're in Austria. Andrea, we're in Austria.
We're in
Let's
Austria.
go for it. Austria, Andrea. Awesomeness.
Wow, what an inline-six.
Inline-six. Mild hybrid system, too. 2 engine choices in North America. Andrea, what's under the hood of this thing?
The E450 has a 3-liter turbocharged inline-six with a 9-speed automatic transmission and a 48-volt mild hybrid system. It has 375 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. All models are standard all-wheel drive.
Now, the base engine is called the E350 with a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder. It gets 255 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, also with a 9-speed automatic transmission.
Now, compared to the previous model, the E350 gets the same horsepower, but 22 pound-feet more torque, and the E450 has the same torque, but 13 extra horsepower.
And that's partly due to that mild hybrid system as well. So this is an E-Class, slots just below the S-Class. Very nice in here. What are the key standard features?
The E-Class sedan comes standard with a 14.4-inch touchscreen, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a 12.3-inch digital driver display, heated and ventilated front seats, power front seats with memory, a heated steering wheel, a panoramic sunroof, the Burmester audio system, 64-color ambient lighting, and over-the-air software updates.
So there is the dynamic button here. You have Eco, Comfort, Sport. What else can we put it in?
Got to put it in S for subscribe, and if you can hit that notification bell, you'll be notified when all of our videos drop, and then you can watch them.
And we do this, the couple car review, twice a week. The first one drops on Wednesday.
We put another one out on Saturday.
So make sure you like and subscribe, but also follow along on Instagram. It's Motormouth_Andrew to see what's going on in Austria. Or for me, it's Motormouth_Auto, and the links are below the like button. So first thing, Andrea, I think the roads in Austria are paved with gold.
Amazing roads.
They're like a billiard table. That's how smooth they are. And it really accentuates what is now a real traditional luxury mid-size sedan.
Yeah, this is quite incredible. It's well done. It's smooth. It's comfortable. The suspension really isn't too firm at all. And you're right, Zach, it just feels like traditional luxury. And I cannot believe how quiet the cabin is, even when you accelerate, even though you do hear a slight growl when you accelerate with this inline-six.
Yeah, so on the highway, it's not Autobahn here, it's highway. We've been driving at varied speeds, and even at highway speeds, 130, roughly 70 miles an hour, perfectly quiet. And the one thing about the E-Class, Andrea, is, and we're going to get into this in our hot topic, is it's a sedan in a sea of SUVs. That's one of the great things about a sedan, is it slides through the air. You sit low, very comfortable.
I mean, whether you're driving this in the city or you're going on a long road trip, especially a long road trip, you're going to find this to be an excellent vehicle to drive. I mean, I'm feeling like, you know, we're in Austria, we're in Vienna.
I'm full of schnitzel. I've eaten schnitzel.
Sausage. I mean, baked goods. I mean, we could go on and on. But this is just such a wonderful choice for these kinds of roads, almost like a touring vehicle.
Yeah, it's a great touring car. And then you layer on the available features, like you've got air suspension in the one we're driving here. That takes it up to a more luxurious level. And the active rear steering is really incredible. As you know, in Europe, the roads are tighter. You got to maneuver. This is a big car. You can wheel it around. It just does a great job.
On top of the air suspension, you get the adjustable damping as well. The steering angle at the rear axle is 4.5 degrees, and this reduces the turning circle by up to 35.4 inches. This sedan has improved aerodynamics compared to the previous model.
Okay, now when you redo a Mercedes-Benz sedan, the Icon, it's probably even a bigger icon than the S-Class. It's their best seller of all time, actually. You don't want to screw it up. And I would say, unless you're a Mercedes file, you might not know this is a new car. car because the shape is so familiar. It's all the little details that make it new.
Yeah, it's a real nice blend of tradition for those who have owned an E-Class for a long time or have upgraded over the years. And Mercedes has added some modern touches to it as well. And maybe a touch of sportiness when you look at the character lines on the side of the vehicle as well.
Well, the big talking point when we were talking to the developers of the sedan here is the flush door handles. We've seen it on the EQ models. We've seen it on S-Class. I keep on asking them, is this the answer to the question nobody was asking? You know, they claim that these have been tested to minus 40 degrees Celsius, which is the same as minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and it has enough power to punch through ice. I'd like to try it in a northern Quebec ice storm and see how that goes. But that's just me being an old guy saying I like regular door handles.
Well, I have to say that if you are going to do flush door handles, these ones are better than something like in the Tesla, in my opinion, or even the Hyundai Ioniq 5 where you just kind of pull them out. At least this is really solid. You give it a great pull. So I think if you are going to go with flush, that this is the way it should be done.
All right, the front of the vehicle, depending on the trim you get different looks. So the nice thing in North America, we get AMG line as standard equipment, which gives you the grille with all the little Mercedes three-pointed stars making up the grille. On top of that, you can, in other markets, here in Europe and in Asia, get the three-pointed star, the traditional emblem that you might remember as a kid, on the hood, right? That's going to be big in the Asian markets for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. This is a little bit longer and wider than the previous model, almost an inch longer in the wheelbase, so it's giving you a little bit more passenger space inside, specifically in the second row. We'll get into those measurements coming up. It also has performance LED headlights, available digital light headlights. You've got a black grille. Zach mentioned the star motif on the grille. And then I think that the biggest changes to the rear with the star motif that is in each of the taillights now. And for people who upgrade to this new model, and for those who know Mercedes-Benz in the E-Class, when they see this one on the road, they're going to know it's the 2024 model.
So the Mercedes-Benz files will spot a couple of things. They'll say, okay, flush mounted door handles. Zach doesn't like those, but that's got to be the new one. And then the back with the three-pointed star tail lamps, that's a real cue as well. So check this out. On about the size of your thumb in the headlamp, there's like 1.5 million pixels. And what that does is spray light down the road, and it can blank things out. If you don't want to get light, say on oncoming traffic, say the car in front of you, it can do all of that automatically. And that is now cleared for the North American market.
Yeah, which is great. And if you use cruise control, there's a new feature that's been added that will automatically change lanes for you.
Yeah, so you drive,
if it's safe to do so.
Yeah, so you drive with your hands on the wheel, and then the cruise control will go, oh, I want to go around a truck. It'll do it for you.
Yeah. And there's lots of standard safety features in here, like blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert. Mercedes-Benz has taken care of that. Safety is a priority for the brand.
I feel it coming on, Andrea. I feel there's a fun fact coming.
There is a fun fact. Let me tell you all about it. So the head designer of Mercedes-Benz, Gordon Wagner, he's a fashion guy. You know, I knew I liked that guy. Anyway, you know how Louis Vuitton has
puts
got
the LVs all over everything.
All over the bags.
Or Chanel has the C's all over.
Or Gucci.
Yeah. This is all the stuff Andrea buys.
I know. Anyway, he looks at the star motif as kind of like those logos that we see in designer handbags. And he is incorporating it more and more into Mercedes-Benz models, which is kind of cool.
This is a bit different than the S-Class. So they call it the hyper screen on the S-Class, which is one piece of glass with 3 screens behind it. This is similar. It's called Super Screen, which is similar, but just a little bit smaller. It's E-Class size.
Well, what I like about this, first off, it's an option, the Super Screen. So you have a 12.3-inch digital driver display, a 14.4-inch touchscreen, and on the passenger side, a 12.3-inch passenger display. Now, if you don't want to get the Super Screen, you eliminate the passenger screen, and it's a nice trim piece.
Yeah, so you got a 14-inch screen in the center, and then the 12.3. We've seen this with other products when they eliminate the hyper screen. It looks quite different, but I also challenged the designers here, and I said, like, How often are you going to use the passenger screen? Is this something you'll try a couple of times and then you'll just revert back to your smartphone?
Well, Mercedes-Benz has a new compatibility layer, allows you to add third-party apps now, such as Angry Birds, and you can also stream shows on the passenger side. I can see that it being pretty good if you have kids in the car, someone in the front, and a whole load of kids in the back, and you want to keep them quiet and they watch a show.
Anyway, I just think you'd use your smartphone.
Hey, look, if you don't want it, you don't have to get it.
So one thing that they stressed, and I think this is appreciated by us, is the fact there are still some real keys in here. You've still got the door controls. You don't have to go into a screen. The windows, the mirror adjustments aren't in the screen. They're real switches. And but you know what? I've become so used to this hyper super screen, whatever you want to call it, from Mercedes-Benz now. It kind of feels normal to me.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm so used to all the tech. This is a big change, and Mercedes-Benz says that some of their customers are saying, where are all the knobs and the buttons? But this is where they are going for now, and it's easy enough to use, and it's super quick. I have to say, this interior is very comfortable. The seating position is nice.
Quiet,
yeah, very quiet. There's enough storage in here for a mid-size sedan. So I think overall Mercedes has done a great job keeping with the luxury in this interior.
Yeah, so from the screen back, it's kind of what you expect.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of level that they've always done.
And all the different color interiors now. We're in macchiato beige, and I think it's great. And there's a new kind of a cinnamon brown color, which also looks really nice. So lots of different options to make this E-Class your own.
Well, here's me getting in the back seat, and Andrea touched on it just a moment ago. The wheelbase is being stretched ever so slightly, which gives you a little bit more legroom in the back. When you're in, it's very comfortable, good headroom as well. How does it stack up?
The E-Class has a little more headroom than the previous model. Rear seat knee room has increased by just under ½ an inch and legroom by over ½ an inch. The increase in elbow room in the rear is also greater, which is getting into S-Class territory.
And then you lift the power trunk, which is nice, and check out the floor of this trunk. It's almost perfectly flat, so loading things in and out, no problem.
The trunk space has not changed for this new E-Class. It gets 19 cubic feet, which is the same as the previous model.
So we didn't forget the schnitzel, but we did forget the coffee.
Yes.
Time now for questions, coffee, and cars.
Well, somebody somewhere, I'm sure, is drinking a coffee, so it still is Questions, Coffee, and Cars. It's your questions from Instagram.
Are the black portions of the door cards around the mid-range speaker grills soft touch or hard plastic like the C and EQE? It's actually soft materials. Like, you don't feel any hard plastic at all. I've touched it all, nothing, all soft.
But I agree with this viewer that Mercedes in the last 10 years has gone away from this nice molded plastic with the soft on the bottom of the door cards.
Yeah.
And I think maybe in order to create more of a luxurious environment for a car that hasn't been their best seller for a long time, they're trying to inject some enthusiasm into it.
And you are right. We had the EQE not too long ago, and we were kind of surprised by how much hard plastic was at the bottom of the door.
The bottom parts of the door are not that soft material that they used to have for decades, and they've abandoned some of that stuff. It's cheapened in some way.
Yeah, all soft materials. It feels quite luxurious in here. Most importantly, has Mercedes decided on the engine of the AMG version? The C-Class 4-cylinder hybrid has gotten mixed reviews. I understand the need to hybridize, but come on, Mercedes, give me a glimmer of hope to upgrade my AMG.
Oh, well, that's a big question, and they're not going to tell us exactly what the power plant is going to be.
No.
So they have one of two options. They could go with the 4-cylinder hybrid version they're doing in the C63.
Yeah.
Or they could go with a 6-cylinder AMG. I don't think they're going to go an 8-cylinder AMG.
I don't think so.
No.
I think those days are gone. But when I did ask if there was an AMG coming, nothing has been confirmed yet, of course.
Of course it's coming.
But the bet is yes, it's on its
and my
way.
bet, I'm just reading the tea leaves here.
Yeah.
If you look at the C-Class AMG, is the 4-cylinder hybrid system probably a safe bet this will get that soon.
Something similar, yeah. Is there going to be a PHEV or an HEV option? I don't think so. We talked about that today with the Mercedes-Benz team. You know, nobody said anything about that. I think they're just focusing on EVs and the EQ brand.
So they're really pushing the EQ brand in North America. So we were here for the European presentation. They have small 4-cylinder versions. They've got diesel versions. They've got diesel 6-cylinder versions. They even have a plug-in version and a plug-in diesel. Imagine how thrifty that would be.
I know.
4-cylinder diesel and a plug-in. That would just sip fuel. We don't get any of those variants. We're getting 4-cylinder turbo and inline-six.
Yep.
And then if you want to go electrified, oh, they'll sell you an EQ.
Yeah, it was kind of shocking when we were sitting through the presentation. We did the walk around of the vehicle, and then he just said all of these powertrain choices, and we knew at that time we were only getting 2.
And now it's time for our hot topic. What's this one, Andrea?
With the move towards SUVs, does anyone really want an E-Class sedan anymore?
So one thing you got to remember, Andrea, it's a big wide world out there, and where sedans might not be as popular in North America as they once were, it actually is the best-selling nameplate for Mercedes-Benz in its history is E-Class. If you took the last 10 years, it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
It would be SUVs, of course. But the thing is, sedans are still really popular, especially in the Chinese market. So they're already making this car for that market. Might as well sell it everywhere else too.
Yeah, this has been around for over 75 years. That's a long time. This is a special model for Mercedes-Benz. I mean, I can't see them getting rid of the E-Class gas model anytime soon. Our customer's going to go for the EQE model instead and go all electric. Time will tell how this sells and whether or not Mercedes-Benz keeps it.
Okay, so we usually do vital stats.
Yeah.
That's where we give you the price and the fuel economy. We don't have the price or the fuel economy. They're going to give us all of that closer to the on-sale date. Do we know when that is, when it's going to be coming to North America?
Yeah, they'll be available at the beginning of 2024.
Okay, so we know that.
Yeah.
And we also have a few European competitors. If you want a luxury sedan, what else could you buy?
For your consideration, 4 vehicles for you to consider.
Up first is the BMW 5 Series sedan with a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, 255 horsepower, and a starting price of $70,500.
The Audi A6 sedan, also with a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder, 261 horsepower, and a starting price of $71,000.
The Jaguar XF sedan with a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, 296 horsepower, and a starting price just under $69,000.
The Volvo S90 with a B6 powertrain, 295 horsepower, and a starting price under $70,000.
So there are 4 spacious sedans for you to consider.
Lightning round. 2 things we like, 2 things we like to see improved.
Well, I like all the updated tech in here. I'm really impressed.
I do love big sedans, so this kind of talks to me.
What I'd like to know is the price. How much is this E-Class going to start at?
Don't get me started on the door handles.
The new E-Class sedan, traditional luxury at its best.
With a whole bunch of new technology sprinkled in.